Days, weeks, and months after the slaughter of October 7th, I used to start every episode of this show by stating the day of the war that we're in and giving a brief news update. I'm not going to give a news update now, but I will state that we are in day 500 of the war that Israel is refusing to win. It's also day 29 of the expiration of the Biden won't let us excuse and day three of the expiration of the 12 p.m. deadline that Trump set. But Israel still refuses to win. And you hear in Israeli politics some people who say things similar to what we say on this channel that Israel should win. But almost all of the prominent figures in Israeli politics who say that are a part of the government or at least a coalition. One exception to that rule is my guest today, Moshe Feiglin, the founder and chairman of Zehut, the Zehut political party, former member of the Knesset from Likud, and many more accolades, but we only have 25 minutes, so we're not going to go through all of them. Moshe, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Razi.
So I want to start with a question that hopefully will help people understand your ideology. So let's say an election is called tomorrow in Israel. There's an election in 3 months. You do very well, and it turns out you win. You do something that nobody's ever done in Israeli politics and win 61 seats, or let's say 60 something to give you a bit of a margin. What do the first 100 days look like?
Wipe out Gaza immediately. Win the war. At the same time it took us in 1967 and before in 1956. The two wars we had that Israel took over Gaza in about a day. Um, and it was against a real army, against a terror organization. And the truth is, that in order to win in Gaza, all you need to do is to close the water supply. And when they want a glass of water, they should come out with the hostages. That's it. And the electricity and everything you can. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right when you said the war that Israel refused to win. Um, After 15 months, we actually won the war. But the enemy was not Hamas. The enemy were ourselves. So we won the war against ourselves, and we won the war for Hamas.
So when you say wipe out Gaza, I mean you cut off their supply, and then let's say they do release the hostages. Are they then let off the hook, basically? What is the
Yes.
next step? They release the hostages, and then what?
Dresden. Just what the Brits did in every German city they managed to get to when the wheel of the war turned around. And the Americans, same thing in Japan. Um, and Hiroshima and Nagasaki were just the end of it. Every city they got to, they burned to ashes. Men, women, and children. And let me tell you something. No German soldier passed the British Canal and did in the British cities what the Islamo Nazis, Hamas people did in the 7th of October. Yet, when they had the opportunity, this is exactly what they did. And it's important for me to add, it was a moral act to wipe out Gaza, just as the British Army did in World War II, in Dresden, in Hamburg, and in almost every German city they could get to, was a moral thing to do. Because a war is not an act that is done between individuals. It is done between nations, between people. Okay? And it is the what they call themselves a nation. They're not a nation, but some kind of a tribe, but they're definitely a group of people that decided to get together, that built together the most horrific culture in the world today. Worse than the Nazis. Why worse than the Nazis? Because the Nazis tried to hide their acts, while those Islamo Nazis were very proud of it. And when they raped women and slaughter children and did these unbelievable things, they did it religiously, with a religious pride, took pictures of it and spread it all over the world, called their parents, told them what they did. So you talk we the you the ugliest face of the monster ever appeared on earth came to visit us at the 7th of October, and the whole world were shocked and waiting to see how will the Jews answer that? Will they accept it or destroy it? And the whole concept of a Jewish state is a Jewish that bring back morality to the table. This is why we got the Balfour Declaration to begin with. So the people of the book will come back to the promised Holy Land and create a culture that spreads light to the world. And when we show that we can live with this darkness, there's no need for us anymore on earth for a Jewish state. And that's when amazing anti-Semitism rises again. And I said from the very beginning that this is what's going to happen. This anti-Semitism, this wave of anti-Semitism all over the world, if we are not going to do in Gaza what the British people did in Dresden. Unfortunately, Israel chose the opposite direction. Instead of wipe out this evil and the people that carry that evil in their DNA, we turned to the world and showed picture. Look how poor we are. If you're so poor, go back to the diaspora and ask for mercy. Ask for from the land. Ask from your king wherever you are to protect you. We don't need a Jewish state. We proved in the last 15 months that there's no need for a Jewish state on the globe. And so we got this wave of anti-Semitism, and now we have to fix it. So the bottom line is, this is what we have to do immediately, with no connection to Trump or anybody else. Wipe out Gaza, take over Gaza, wipe out Gaza, send whoever wants to go to his merry way. Those who will stay will die, and make the whole Gaza Strip what it should have been done long, long time ago, a part of the state of Israel.
All right. I agree with much of what you think should be done. Completely disagree on the point of of the Jewish state, or the idea of the people of the book coming back, and that's what kind of scares me. And I want to get to that in a few minutes, but I do want to ask
Right.
you about
Let's
Trump's
talk
plan.
about it. If you
Yeah,
disagree, it's going to be interesting.
we will talk about it, but I first want to talk about Trump's plan, because Trump's plan is as I've said on this channel, I've said this is, if we look at every president in the last few decades, they all had a peace plan for the Middle East. They were all going to bring peace to the Middle East, and they all made it worse. And as presidential peace plans go, this is by far the best thing we've ever heard. But it does end with the US taking over Gaza and not Israel.
Look, uh, the most important thing, two important things, one good and one bad, happened with this plan. Okay, and unfortunately, it's going to be the only things that will happen with this plan. The first one is that the concept of transfer, okay, immigrate them, okay, become a concept that uh, uh, that people talk about. You're allowed to talk about it. It become a one of the tools you have on your toolbox, and and you understand that it's about time we'll use it. Okay. By the way, after World War II, more than 50 million immigrants were running around Europe, mostly in Europe, and all find themselves somewhere a solution. About 5, 6 million Germans were transferred back from Czechoslovakia to mid Germany, for example. I mean, refugees went back and forth all over Europe, tens of millions, and everybody find their solution at the end. Also, many of them were Jews. And by the way, during the 50s, another 500,000 or 600,000 Jews were expelled from their homes from the Arab countries and found their place in the state of Israel. However, there's only one segment, only one group of people that still talks about their Nakba and the fact and still call refugees and have a special UN department called UNRWA that gives them all the legitimacy to this joke and lie. Okay, that the grandchildren of those refugees from World War II or great grandchildren are still called refugees. Who are they? It's those who call themselves Palestinian. There is no Palestinian nation, by the way, but so when I'm saying the word Palestinian, it's a fake nation and a fake language, but just to make sure we know what we're talking about. So these Arabs who lived in the land of Israel and started the war, they started the war. Again, the Jews who lived with them at the same piece of land started a war in order to finish openly, loudly. They said it. What Hitler did not finish in Europe, to finish it in what was called Palestine at the time, okay, and lost the war. And because they lost the war, some of them, not all of them, some of them had to leave their villages between the Jews. Well, this is the most horrific crime, and they have to go back, and from the river to the sea it should be Judenrein. And the whole world is cheering to this wonderful moral, quote unquote, solution. Well, here comes Trump and says, excuse me, the same solution that worked beautifully to these 50 million refugees after World War II should work for these people in Gaza that only bring more and more bloodshed and wars and misery to the whole region. So that's a very good thing. A very good thing that Trump did and brought to the picture. But the bad thing that appeared is that Israel don't want it, or at least the Israeli government doesn't want it. Now, when you're asking yourself why, this is amazing. Why Israel? I mean, the Israeli government is letting right now tens of thousands of caravans go into the Gaza Strip, showing by acts, not by talking, exactly the opposite direction. If you're sending them homes, you're not telling them you should go. You're telling them you should stay, right? And if so, Israel with its acts doing exactly the opposite of what Trump good solution talks about. So the question is why? The question is really what's going on here. You can tear your hair about what's going on here. I think there are two levels here to the answer. One is the political level, and one is the spiritual level. The political level is that Netanyahu is caught with cross interests with all kind of progressive and ultra progressive forces that runs the show behind the scenes in the last 30 years in Israel and abroad. Um, if you want, I can get into it, but the Israeli courts, the Israeli media, the Israeli army. The Israeli army runs by commanders that are totally obey those progressive ideas. The concept of conquer land is against the rules of the army, the written rules of the Israeli army. Conquer land is immoral according to the official statements of the Israeli army. Um, so you're dealing here with forces that cannot win, don't want to win, the defeatism that you cannot believe that taking over. And I assume he also afraid of the international courts and so on. So that's the political answer. But there's something deeper than that. There's the spiritual answer.